Support for WCBU's On Deck comes from Jaguar Land Rover Peoria on Allen Road, offering complimentary pickup and delivery for service with every new vehicle purchase, including the Land Rover Defender. Details at jaguarlandroverpeoria.com.
Court reporters are facing an increasing workload as retirements outpace new hires. That's just one of the things you'll want to hear about to start your day for Wednesday, May 1st. I'm Colin Shope, and this is WCBU's On Deck. First on deck today, planting season is here, and Central Illinois farmers are gearing up for a successful spring. WCBU's Mason Clem has more on the outlook for this year's crops.
The key to a successful planting season depends on the weather, and Central Illinois has gotten off to a good start. Peoria County Farm Bureau Manager Patrick Kirchhoffer says that about 50% of the area's soybeans are already planted, while corn is around 30 to 35%. With research showing that planting soybeans first leads to a greater yield, Kirchhoffer is confident in what this season can produce.
Things are looking good. It always depends on what the weather is, later on in the season. If we get rains, the latter part of July and especially into August, that's kind of the key point. We'll just have to wait and see, but right now we're looking okay.
Kirchhoffer added that in order for farmers to have an ideal growing season, crops need to average an inch of rain a week, as well as temperatures in the 80s during the day and cool temperatures during the evening to allow growers to maximize corn output. But you can't predict the weather.
But it's never an ideal scenario as far as farming goes. There's always, the weather play. You're not going to get the perfect amount of rainfall. You're not going to get the perfect amount of sunshine and temperatures. But that's just the way farming is.
Planting season is expected to last through mid-May, as long as the weather cooperates.
Here are some other stories we're following in the WCBU newsroom. Longtime conservative political activist Dan Proft is firing back against allegations he illegally coordinated with Darren Bailey during the former state senator's unsuccessful run for governor in 2022. And the Illinois Department of Corrections is proposing moving the Logan Women's Prison in Lincoln onto the same site as the Stateville Men's Prison. Find more of these stories and all the details at WCBU.org. The legal system can't function without court reporters, the trained and certified stenographers dutifully recording every utterance in a trial or hearing.
It's a bedrock of people's constitutional rights, in my opinion, is having a live court reporter in that courtroom.
That's Illinois Court Reporters Association President-elect Lori Kennedy. She's a federal court reporter in Little Rock, Arkansas now, but spent 14 years as an official court reporter in Cook County. But the profession that some court reporters call a best-kept secret is facing growing shortages at a time when the volume of work is increasing exponentially. Kennedy says the demand for court reporters is constant.
The demand increases every year. Every year that goes by, the demand is increasing because retirements are outpacing students coming out of school.
This means supervisors need to find on-the-spot solutions to ensure coverage in every court. People like Teresa Ozuna, the court reporting services supervisor for the 10th Circuit. Ozuna oversees 9 reporters, 5 in Peoria County, 3 in Tazewell, and 1 that covers Putnam, Stark, and Marshall counties. Ideally, she says, she would have 9 or 10 reporters just for Peoria County alone.
I feel like the shortage has kind of been around as long as I can remember, which I've been in court reporting in some form or fashion since I was a student in 1992.
The needs of the job have changed over time, too, particularly following last year's implementation of the Safety Act. The new procedures for pretrial detention involved more work for the courts. That's particularly true when it comes to appeal hearings, which now outweigh all other criminal appeals 3-1 in the 4th District that includes the Tri-County area. But Ozuna says the 10th Circuit has adapted. When an appeal happens, the court reporters have to prepare a transcript.
But those are generally about 15 to 20-minute hearings. So really, other than a little bit more transcript production, it really hasn't made much of an impact here.
But the 10th Circuit is also uniquely positioned with a blended system of live court reporters and electronic recordings monitored by court specialists. As Ozuna explains it, court specialists monitor the recordings of around 4 courtrooms at a time from a control room, specifically for non-felony cases.
So if later we wanted to come back and prepare a transcript from that, we know exactly what day, courtroom, and what time the audio starts and ends, and we can prepare a transcript from electronic recording. And at this time, we really couldn't function with having a record in all of our courtrooms without the blended system that we have.
She says sometimes the specialists will be hired on later as a court reporter. However, that's not just from on-the-job experience. It takes an average of 3 years to get certified. Students have to learn shorthand, possess extensive legal knowledge, learn to use a special stenography machine keyboard, memorize thousands of shortcuts known as briefs for commonly used legal phrases, and pass tests looking for around 200 words per minute typing speed in 3 distinct styles.
When they're speaking, it's not like writing a paper. They interrupt themselves and throw a sentence in the middle of a sentence, and people cut each other off, those types of things. So you have to learn how to punctuate the spoken word, which is much different.
Future reporters learn these skills at specialized programs. Lori Kennedy points out that, though the availability of these programs has fluctuated over the years, even now there are new opportunities opening up.
As a matter of fact, I think it's within the last 18 months to 2 years, Lakeland College started a court reporting program.
Ozuna also mentions a new program at Black Hawk College in Moline, as well as longer-running programs like McCormick College in Chicago. It's been suggested that artificial intelligence might be useful for court reporting, but Ozuna sees issues with relying on technology like Apple's Siri or the Amazon Alexa to distinguish between different speakers and understand legal intricacies.
If I were on trial where my reputation, financial well-being, or my freedom was at risk, I certainly wouldn't want either of them preparing my transcript.
Ozuna says some students are warned away from court reporting as a dying profession. But she says it's not dying, just adapting and searching for more dexterous, knowledgeable, and detail-oriented applicants. Now, before we let you go, today is the start of a new season for the Wheels of Time Museum in Dunlap. The exhibits open at noon, and admission is $12 for adults and $5 for kids. And that's all for today. You can subscribe to WCBU's On Deck podcast on the NPR app, Apple, or Spotify.